Well, I wholeheartedly believe that curiosity drives a lot of what happens in here. You know, kids love music or are starting to get into music, and I think they are curious about how it's made. So really, we do kind of get pretty analytical and break down how music is made in here and learn how to make it ourselves. And in terms of creativity, you're starting from a blank slate and having to come up with musical ideas and how to make something out of nothing, which is really the goal, since creativity comes out of boredom and starting from nothing.
Yeah, the biggest way is most of our classes' lessons are based around some sort of question or some sort of what we call phenomenon, something that occurs in real life in the world that we want to understand more about. And as a class, we try to understand it, we try to figure it out, via labs, via problem solving at the boards, via collaboration, people working together.
In my math classes, I really try to get students to think about why things work and try to see some real-world applications when possible. And I think that sparks a lot of curiosity. I also start most of my calculus classes with students up at the whiteboard so that they can work together and try problems with various approaches and see how other students might do it versus how they do it, which I think allows them to be creative.
This is digital photography. Creativity is built in throughout the program in many ways. From the production point of when students are actually creating the image, they have to think about what to include in the photo as well as what not to include in the photo. So that is all part of the creativity with creating their image. And then there's also a lot of creativity going on with editing decisions. Again, deciding what stays in the photo and what is removed from the photo. They're cropping their images, they're editing the color to be more accurate, things of that sort.
Hi, my name's Ms. Stefani. I'm teaching geometry and algebra 2 this year. When I think about the 8 conditions and curiosity and creativity, I like to have a creative project where they can basically design whatever they want as long as they're using the geometry. So some people do their names, some people just come up with really cool designs. Algebra 2, a little bit more tricky, but for the curiosity, and they're not always curious about math, but I try to make them think before I teach. Can we go through a progression of different equations so that way they can kind of figure it out? Okay, this equation is just like this one. What did you do prior? Okay, now if I change one thing in the equation, how do you think that will change what you've done overall? So I hope the students enjoy it as well.
Hey everyone, I'm Mrs. Tomar and I am in I3. I teach AP Computer Science Principles and AP Computer Science A. When we are coding, we use different algorithms for that. And because there's just not one way of figuring out the solution for any problem. So you come up with different creative ideas for that. Curiosity, we tumble over a lot of bugs and issues in our codes, and then we ask each other, like, what was the issue, what was the error, how did you fix it? So all this comes as a curiosity.
Yeah, for in engineering, we try to give the students access to all of the tools and the knowledge that they need to make whatever it is that they want to design. Level 3 students are doing a project right now where they have to make dice. And some students make dice that are very traditional. Other students decide to machine theirs with slightly more unique solutions on their dice. So it all comes down to what you want to do with your design. I just give you the tools to be able to make whatever it is you can think of.
So one way I inspire curiosity in my film classes is by showing films and analyzing them. So for example, when I do my horror unit in October, we'll look at the use of camera angles, the use of sound, and the use of color grading as techniques that directors use to make their films more terrifying. After analyzing, students then get to use their creativity and come up with their own films. So they come up with a story, they gotta show me how they're gonna use angles, how they're gonna color grade, and then how they're gonna use music or sound to make their movies just as scary. So that would just be one example of how I encourage those 2 traits in my classes.